welcome back to Hey Eintracht Frankfurt, the Bundesliga podcast covering everything there is to know in the English language about Eintracht Frankfurt, the best club in the Bundesliga, the best club in Germany, best club in Europe, best club in the world for that matter. We're a little bit biased. I am your host, longtime missed host, I should point out, Brian and KC. You can follow the show that is on Twitter, X at HEF Pod. We still run that Facebook.com. We need to update that a little bit better. Sorry, folks. When you run one kid and you got a job, it can be difficult. Facebook.com/HEF Pod. Of course, whenever you want to reach out to us in long format by email, hey, Eintracht at gmail.com. And of course, we're on Blue Sky Butterfly, hey, Eintracht Frankfurt. And I think that, and of course, if you haven't joined our Discord, go to any of our social media channels. Our link for Discord for match day discussion and so much more is there. I am thrilled to be back, though, in kind of truncated fashion because, this is the Christmas season. We got kids. Well, both of us on here do, at least, anyways. And that means a lot of family time. So we don't have 10 hours to talk about all things Eintracht. We got what we got. So I am here, and guess who is with me? It is none other than the man he's not in the thumb of the mitten, more like in the middle pocket there,
in the middle.
properly in the palm from the lower peninsula of Michigan. It is Chris in central Michigan, somewhere in central Michigan today.
Yes, sir.
Chris, it's been a minute. How you doing? We talk
I'm I'm doing
offline,
great.
but plenty.
Yeah. Actually, we are live on YouTube at the moment because I pressed the go live on YouTube button. So shout out to the whole 0 people tuned in right now. That's awesome. But
That's okay.
subscribe to us on YouTube because not all of our shows, but some of our shows are live, and those are fun because the behind the scenes of the screw ups of my pronunciation is awesome.
That's always
And
fun,
all
man.
the non-edited stuff is fun.
Well, hey, you know what? At the end of every match day, I keep on thinking to myself, well, we're not in relegation danger. The days of the yo-yo are thankfully firmly behind us, and as much as anyone wants to gripe about anything that's going on the field at the moment, relegation sucks. And I'm just glad we're well past those days because, boy, howdy, uh, back in the day when we would get relegated, you thought it was hard to follow the Bundesliga then. Ugh. We're just lucky that have the coverage that we have now. Not to say that it can't also be improved, but hey, that is why you guys trust us with your Eintracht needs because hey, it's just a couple guys talking Eintracht in the English language. You can find other podcasts that cover it in German. We got you covered in the English language. At the weekend, the final match day before the Winter Palace was Eintracht away in the north to play HSV. A HSV who I think is going to survive relegation. That basically what the Eintracht supporters there sold out the Volkspark Stadion, a rather old, venerable stadium currently renovated to suit, current match accommodations. And Eintracht Frankfurt, a 1-1 draw, an away point. It used to be we were excited about any away point that would happen. This year, we're a little bit pickier after, scoring 60 points in 34 matches in the previous season when we qualified for the Champions League. But Chris, we're sitting in seventh. How are you feeling, brother? Like as a
It,
whole, or you can just pick apart the match if you want.
you know what? It's a love hate. When we qualified for Champions League through the table last year, we said this is the start, it's not the finish. And we wanted to keep that momentum rolling. We spent all of last year in the top 4 for the most part, and I think we all wanted that this year, but again, late transfer sales and all that kind of stuff it wasn't ideal, the situation that we were set up for here. So sitting at 7th in the table right now doesn't say as much about us as it does with the just average play around the league. I mean, outside of the top spot with Bayern, nobody's really running away with it, and everybody's dropping points left and right around us.
I always knew that, well, the current team sitting in fourth place, which is Leipzig, I always knew that they would be someone who would benefit from, it's not like as though they had some schmucks on their roster. They had a team full of European potential. And when you only have to play the one match a week for the Bundesliga and your occasional Pokal match, you're going to be able to climb up the table. And Eintracht finds himself in 7th, whereas everyone -2 in Leipzig in 4th, and Hoffenheim in 5th. Everyone else is playing in, European competitions. Mainz is at the foot of the European table. Freiburg is 5 points behind us and in ninth. So it's not when we want to get angry. I look at it from 100 feet up in the air. Uh, we're balancing a lot of matches. We had roster turnover when honestly, the best time of a roster turnover is when everyone leaves and comes in right on the 1st of July, and you're able to get full training session and everything with your players so that when you times do get tough, you're able to resort back to that preseason tournament that they have in the
Yeah.
United States. And look, okay, so we gave up the early goal to Hamburg, headed ball in. Kind of sucks how that exactly played out. But the thing was, if you look at the opportunities that were utilized by Hamburg, you take away that headed ball, the defense was okay. Kalk looked
Yeah.
good, but I put it down to, hey, for certain opposition, he looks good. For certain opposition, he looks bad. And unless he's just playing one of those matches where he's just dialed in like crazy, uh, he fluctuates up and down like someone's heart monitor. And
Well, look, like we're at a point now, nearly the halfway point of the season, where we can start making some pretty good generalizations here. And one of those is we're dropping way too many points to the bottom third of the table. And if we went on the road and took a point at Bayern, at Dortmund, something like that, we'd all be,
thrilled.
so wonderful about it, thrilled with it. But we continuously drop points to that bottom third of the table. We're 4 points out of third right now. You know, a bad game turned average game here or there. Just a couple more quality shots in this Hamburg match, and we're sitting in a position that feels much better in the 7th. Well, we're only a few
You're
points
thinking of
out.
Wolfsburg already.
Those are hard to come by. I'm thinking of a handful of matches here where it's just Wolfsburg was maybe the worst of them. Just it's not that the effort isn't there because I see it from guys from time to time, but I want to see that A+ effort on a consistent basis. And it feels like we just, coming out of a very average Champions League so far as effort and output goes. I just want to see that match where guys are like, "Hey, we're fed up with the way we've been. Let's play the match of our lives here going into Christmas. Let's earn those cookies." And frankly, I don't think guys are earning the cookies this week.
Yeah, I look back at the Union match, and that is one of the real biggest kicks in the teeth that we have taken all
Yep.
season long. Picking up absolutely 0 points there, and you can look at Freiburg. I mean, Freiburg's a pretty decent team, and also dealing with the same shenanigans that we are. You look at I mentioned Wolfsburg, and of course, this match here. Uh, That's all, folks. That's 9 points. Those give us those 9 points there, and this is a team that's in second place in the Bundesliga. Now we knew when we sold Tuta that we would be frail and weak and light in defense, and you know what? On the grand scheme of things, that is where we have had weaknesses. But at least I take this down as, hey, solid .1 against a team who's really they're earning all their points at home. Hamburg ain't traveling
Yeah.
to Munich and picking up at a result here. Not to mention, just mentioning like their least favorite place in the entire world, considering how many 5-0s they've had over the years down in Munich. But this was to me just yes another missed opportunity, but at the end of the day, if it had been a loss, I'm reacting differently.
But you know what? Let's not forget we are the width of a shoulder blade, literally uh,
Ugh.
3 inches from a loss in this one.
Uh,
That that offsides call in the 80 whateverth minute saved our ass. And I'm tired of being saved by VAR. Feels like we used to get hurt by it all the time. Seems like this season it's really saving us.
First couple of years, I will say this much. First
Yeah,
couple of years, I felt like we got so many VAR calls in our favor,
shafted.
and the last couple have been ugh, real bad. And this is
Yeah.
this is the second match in a row where we have had a field day of VAR saves to help our asses out. And here we are, you know, having picked up 4 points from our last two matches, which I did internally kind of note that, hey, you pick up 4 points from your final two matches against Augsburg and Hosfeld, one at home, one away. That is, in my opinion, the bare minimum. Right now, we're averaging 1 2/3 point per match, which is for over 50 points, and this will be good for fifth place based off last year. And our position in the Champions League will allow uh, Dino, and if we ever make it a change, like say it's in the middle of the season, we'll be in the position of one match per week to be able to give the coach the kind of training, like time on the training pitch that honestly, if we weren't playing in Europe, I think we would probably be in like second or third place. Granted, we probably wouldn't have the same roster makeup, you know, uh, as we do right now, but without a shadow of a doubt, we would have earned more points so far this, through 15 matches than we have earned right now, single-handedly because those Champions League matches, it's not just, balancing, one match to the other. Champions League is an entirely different beast. You're playing against teams who have vastly more resources and will push us way harder than we got pushed last season when we were in the Europa League. All credit to
Yeah.
that competition, which we made the quarterfinals. And honestly, we all know that, like, hey, just one thing here, one thing there. Suddenly, we're in a semifinal against Bodo Glimt side, who then just looked out of their depth when they came to playing Tottenham. And hey, we could be in the final against Bilbao, and maybe who knows what kind of a lot of fans are about to kind of talk about here. Kind of getting away from me. I'm out of sorry, folks. I'm out of the usual
No,
hosting
but
loop.
Brian,
But
Brian, you do bring up a good point. The situation we're in with the talent we have and the schedule we're playing hasn't been ideal. Going to places like Barcelona, who's playing the top of their game, but nobody else around us in the league is playing at the top of their game right now.
true.
Stuttgart
Last
dropping
Bayern.
two games in
Bayern is it.
December. Yeah, yeah. But the ones that we're legitimately trying to chase, Leipzig's dropped two in a row. Stuttgart's dropped two in December. Union right behind us dropped two in December. So, it we're benefiting from everyone else being just as average as we are right now. If we step our game up in January, that qualification through the league back to back is still in play, easily still in play.
Right. 100%. And that does give us a shed load of money to be able to uh that would give us a shed load of money to be able to make the roster a little bit better so that then you're looking at, hey, we can generally be competing for, well, not the Bundesliga title necessarily, because I think we need a lot. You need a Florian Wirtz kind of guy to be able to be in the squad. And I think we might have it with Kendall. He just needs still a lot more time to develop and some other players to not leave before developing into such stars. But hey, you know what? That's the kind of circumstances economically that we're working with. And it's really something that the entire globe is dealing with. So enough talk about the match day. Well, we can talk about the Frauen in just like 5 seconds. But the Bundesliga table, we have already talked about it enough right here. I'm looking at this table and I'm saying to myself, 7 points from second, that's surmountable. We're in a position where we can get as high as second place because at this point, we're all but out of the Champions League. Hey, we'll collect whatever bonus money we can get, but honestly, at this point, it's like, hey, it was a nice time, but unless we have to go full pelt against Karabag, and even then, like if we don't get a win, it's just hey, that excuse me, eighth match day will just be a throwaway game, and with no Pokal, we have an entire focus towards the Bundesliga, and that is easily surmountable. I do believe by looking at Hoffenheim, they are catchable. Stuttgart is qualifying is like I think all but qualified for the knockout phase, so they'll have that to deal with in the springtime, and they won't be. I don't think that they're going to be a top 8 team, unlike Mainz, who somehow. Well, I put it down to the Conference League having some weird teams that even a Mainz can be able to surmount whilst having difficulties balancing both match schedules. I look still at a lot of the mid-table shenanigans of the league, and I keep on thinking to myself, you know what? We're well placed. where we are right now to be able to return. It's just a question of what do we do in the wintertime. So, and yeah, Bayern's going to win. Mainz might survive. Heidenheim, I put them down as an automatic relegation fodder. I think St. Pauli is going down there too. And unless Augsburg or Wolfsburg makes like some additional changes, they're going to all be in the fight. I think Hamburg will scrape through, probably let maybe finish like as bottom as 15th. I think that they showed me enough to kind of get themselves out of it. And just look, Mönchengladbach had like no points, and now they got 16 after 15 match days. They've been like getting all their points in the most recent matches. So us soaring at the table as we can on Attila's wings can happen.
Yeah. I mean, just as average as spots, 3 through 8 have been, the same has been true for the bottom of the table and the middle table. There's nobody absolutely, dead to rights except for Mines. But there's nobody who's thriving right now. So it's about taking advantage of the points where you can. And maybe those mid-table teams jump up a couple spots. I think it's pretty safe how it is. Maybe St. Pauli jumps, Augsburg, Wolfsburg to me looks terrible. I know they won a couple recently, but I think the bottom of the table is pretty well set. It's about staving off Berlin and Freiburg to me. Really, the only two that pose a real threat. But I'm looking ahead of us. I think Stuttgart, like you mentioned, they've got a lot on their plate right now. Taking advantage of their schedule to our benefit might be something to look at down the line where we can pick up points on them. Ideally, I'd like to get up by 4 by March, and then we can just kind of pick away towards the top. But it's going to take some consistency and I think some transfer market moves to make that happen.
I just like to hope that when it comes, look, Borussia Dortmund ain't going to win the title. They may be still playing in Europe. Match day 34 could be so important towards our finish, and they won't have a lot riding on it. And maybe with the fellas in that same vein that we did on match day 34 against Freiburg, maybe we pull off something like that. Hey, maybe it can happen. Stuff is happening in the Frauen Bundesliga. Eintracht actually won a match, and sort of convincing, but
it was convincing. It was.
Look, Essen, they are who we thought they were, to quote a certain American football coach. And not gonna lie, I look at the rest of the Frauen Bundesliga and I think to myself, we are so lucky that there's nobody wants third place. You got Werder Bremen, Hoffenheim, ourselves, Freiburg, Leverkusen, and Code, all within 5 points of each other for that third place spot. That's absurd. I did not realize when we were going to expand the league that, it would just, I thought it was going to dilute the talent. Nope. Totally wrong on that.
But Brian, it's not unlike the men's table though, where everything is kind of diluted results wise.
I mean, there's running away with the title. They have a 6-point lead on Wolfsburg, who both, I will admit, have not looked good in Europe, which makes me feel, from a European standpoint, our loss to Real Madrid, I now feel totally bad for the ladies because our 23-24 season, we should have made the champ. Like if we would have qualified for the Champions League, that would have given us the imposition to have invested in the 24-25 team better, so that we would have finished in second place and skipped.
There's a lot of ifs. There's so many ifs in between there. You can't bring those historical points back.
If Nathan hadn't attended that match versus Bremen, we would have finished in second.
I love your optimism, but there's so much more that goes.
Buddy, I love you. I mean, you didn't bring the bad voodoo.
just remember our best win of this season, a very convincing win against Wolfsburg, who's running away from us. So it's just in any given day in this Frauen table, teams do things against the top, except against Bayern. Hoffenheim had shaky back-to-back losses, and they're still sitting ahead of us. So the Frauen table for me is one. This is the first season where we're going 26 instead of 22 matches. So we're adding 4 more matches here. This would usually be my point of freak out, being in 5th place. in match day after match day 14, I'm not freaking out right now. I think the best play is still ahead. And there's a reason for that, because cue the
Yeah.
graphic, Sarah Dorson is back. The
Yeah, she's
immediate
back. She didn't like America. Maybe it was too hot. I don't know.
I mean, it was LA. That's not my cup of tea with that weather. But
Give
I'm
me
going to
the
be
cold
honest,
over that heat.
her style of play, she played in 7 matches, started 6 for Angel City in the NWSL. Um, she spoke a lot about that was her dream to play in the States, and I'm really excited she had that opportunity. But her position in this Frankfurt defense is the difference between, I would say 4 to 6 points in the table. That's how reliable she was for this defense and in the transition game. So hopefully when she returns here after the break, that's what we get to expect going forward is those points we dropped are not going to happen again.
Okay, then I'll throw this to you. Can we roll out? Like, because look, I'm already looking to February because I think the Europa Cup could, a bounce from that could, well, a super deep run all the way down to the final could galvanize the team for the future, but I also realize that the league has got to be prioritized. And you got, you play Leverkusen, then Nordjylland, the Jena,
Yep.
Nordjylland, and then you got Freiburg, big old gap. Then you return with the Pokal versus Wolfsburg, which ugh, that playing Wolfsburg in the Pokal, I look at these ladies, I'm like, I don't know what to expect from you guys. I'm hoping that in January we just come out flying. We start out with Hoffenheim. If we start off with 3 points there, that could be the start of a very strong spring run. But at this point, I'm just like finish in third and win the Europa Cup because I look at the Pokal
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's an ouch waiting to that.
Well, frankly, coming off of, a victory over Wolfsburg a few weeks ago, we're not going to catch them by surprise next time out. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, let's not nobody's gonna count chickens before they're hatched in that one, but um
Mhm.
I think the opportunity is there with a little reset at the break. A lot of pressure on Nico right now. I've publicly called for him to be outed. I just think it's time for a new voice. This is kind of the point where people rally over the winter break and say, let's make a run here. Won't necessarily change my opinion about next season, but certainly there's 8 match days, 10 match days left in the season here to jump up into that 3 spot. And that's the ultimate goal for us. That's the ceiling. And we're 1 match out at this point. And I think we can more than make up for that. I love seeing Nicole Aniomi come back into form. She's quietly been in form, but very outwardly asserting her form in this last match against Essen. That's what we need to see from the Freiburgs or I'm sorry, the Freigangs and others that they put their best foot forward every match out. And when we were in the top 2 for a while at the beginning of last season, it was because we put our best match day foot forward week after week after week. And when we lost, it's because we were losing to the top of the table, not the middle of the table.
Exactly. We're in a fun situation, but boy, howdy, have the ladies just it's been frustrating to watch, and we know we could be doing so better. Hey, think of doing better, Brian, on getting this podcast all together, keeping the rundown all together. What are we drinking? What are your favorite holiday foods? What is going on? I have been drinking the Casey, well, because I recently took my son to his first match at the beer hall of 20
That is
25.
great parenting, by the way. I
He
love it.
he was playing with his miniature World Cup football. It's a ball, folks. It's a pretty minuscule add to the FIFA coffers on that one. He was playing with his ball and he gets on like dribbling around Jurgen and Doug and the beer hall, those guys who have been on our podcast before. And uh, it was just hilarious to see the next generation doing that. And yeah, it was fun to watch that match at the home there. Had a Maskruga the Schwarzbier and have got a sixer of that to take home, which was no, dollar cheaper for that six pack by buying it in the beer hall. That's what I'm drinking in addition to your Sam Adams seasonal packages. I've been drinking a lot of beer now after having been off the toss for a couple months. So get me back on it. Maybe the Eintracht will
Welcome
get some
back.
better results. And as for holiday foods, uh, I can't. Pfeffernuss. That's one of those German delights, along with the Glühwein that I just really enjoy this time of
Yeah,
year.
good stuff. Good stuff. For me, I'm wearing it. I'm drinking it. My choice of beverage this week is the Bell's Two Hearted out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. Excellent stuff. Um, as for the
Oh, Western
food,
Michigan, isn't it?
yes, yes, right down the road. The eccentric cafe is like 3 miles, I think, from campus. Um, as for holiday food, this is where it gets complicated for me because the holiday foods for me span from Thanksgiving to the New Year. I'm a pumpkin pie slut. Like 24/7, 365, you put pumpkin pie in front of me, it's gone. But
Well, why didn't you
but
tell me when I saw you in the summer? I would have just taken
one of
the
my
pumpkin pie
colleagues,
crust.
I'll eat pumpkin pie all summer. I got one in the freezer that I'm gonna save till like
Jeez.
April, I swear. But the issue is, people told me no, you can't have pumpkin pie for Christmas. That ends at Thanksgiving. Tell me they're wrong.
Bollocks. That is bollocks.
Thank you,
No,
thank you,
it's
thank you.
now. I
It-
will. It's a it. Well, I'm in a more southern climate than you are, so it's a little bit
yep.
warmer. When I say warmer, maybe 10 degrees, if that, because we're not in Florida here. But yeah,
We can
I
argue geographic climate issues on another
oh
podcast.
Jesus Christ, yeah, and yeah, beers at the rink, food at the rink. We need to have a food and drink episode just dedicated to the Eintracht match day experience. I think that's
Now, I,
that's something for the summer that we could definitely put on. But
I will
it,
tell you because I've talked to you about this in the past. Winter is whiskey season for me. Once I'm past this week, I switch straight over to whiskey. But I've been doing the espresso martini thing like all the white girls do right now. I was doing it before it was cool, but
ooh,
now I've fallen in love with like, let's do a creme brulee espresso martini and that kind of
does
thing.
Julie know you
Uh,
make these frou frou drinks?
oh, she makes them. She doesn't even drink alcohol anymore, but she loves playing bartender and it's
Man,
fantastic. Like the best thing I ever did was have a wife who gave up alcohol because now she wants to just have a sip of it and make sure it's perfect. And she's like, no, that's not good. I got to make you another one.
there you
Awesome,
go.
man.
Keeping with the holiday theme, we wanted to talk about holiday movies just for an extra little fun layer in between all this Eintracht discussion. For me, it is It's a Wonderful Life. It is the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, little kind of kiddie one. My son's obsessed with it,
Yeah,
so that helps.
that's a great one.
And yeah, definitely not Polar Express, which he's also obsessed with. But Jesus Christ, I can, yeah, how am I to dictate fully what a 3-year-old's gonna like and dislike? I can imagine you had the same conversations with yours at that age and time. And for a third, I always have loved Christmas Vacation. I know a lot of people dislike Chevy Chase as a
Yep.
whole, but in my opinion, is his best movie role. And yes, I am including Caddyshack with that. So some people may say blasphemy, but I'm like, you know what, Clark Griswold, lighting up his house like that, falling off the roof, telling his neighbor when it comes to the tree, is like, where are you going to put that? Bend over, I'll
Bend
show
over
you.
and I'll show you. It's classic.
Oh,
It's classic.
it's we've already seen it twice. That just shows you how much we love it here. So, what's yours,
So
Chris?
let me ask you this before I give you my three. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes,
Because we
it
almost got
happens
in a
during
fight
Christmas,
over
I
this
believe
at my family Christmas.
if it happens during Christmas and Christmas is a common theme throughout it, I believe that is indeed a Christmas movie.
Thank you. So my family members last week were arguing it's not a Christmas movie. So I come home and I'm clicking through the channels and it's showing all the Christmas movies. Guess what shows up right in the middle is Die Hard. So then I got
Oh,
to text everybody, hey, look what's on the Christmas movies. You're wrong. So I'm gonna go number 3, Die Hard. I know you didn't like Polar Express, but the older I get, the more I like it. This is probably the last Christmas keeping Santa's magical spirit alive in my house. So I'm gonna suck that for every ounce I can. I absolutely love it. I actually sat here and cried when we watched the other night. But then one that you skipped, and I don't know how you could, being a kid of the 90s like I am, Home Alone. You cannot beat Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin is perfect
If
in
I had
that.
a top five, then it would have been in there. But I gotta pick them all from
We're
different
on a time restraint.
eras.
I couldn't go more than three, or we could do a whole episode on this one.
Exactly, exactly. So if it had to be top five, I will add Home Alone in there. And Jesus, dude,
Fair enough.
yeah,
We'll do
buckle
that as
back
like
up.
a side episode.
So let's get into what is the winter. The winter pausa is underway. Transfer window opens on January 1. We have our little teenage Swede that has joined us already because the Swedish season ended, I think like a month, like a couple weeks ago. Also
Yeah.
with the Norwegian, all the Scandinavians are all done, including one league that caught that the relegation of one team. They burnt out their stadium. Yoicks! Talk about some angry people there in
I
football.
saw that. That's wild stuff.
Uh,
Imagine being so angry you burn down the stadium.
Crazy. Uh, so we got one guy in. We're looking at an attacking option. I keep on waiting for the shoe to drop on the defender. Chris, I think it's not the worst idea to get a new striker in there. We need a second out and out guy because we're not giving any youth kid the chance. And our two, French, well, Belgian and French guys just aren't up to snuff. Like, hey, look, we made a transfer. Thought that dollars and cents could work. Croatia is not going to get it right every time. So it's a lot of wait and see in my book. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm perfectly happy with waiting and seeing until we kick off again and on the 9th against Dortmund. So plenty,
Yeah,
plenty of stuff ahead.
the line out of shit. I was gonna quote the Christmas movie. Don't remember the line, but is seeing believing or is believing seeing? I go back and forth with
I
that
think that's a
with
Polar
this group
Express.
because what's that?
I think that's a Polar Express.
Yeah, let's go with that. That works for me. Um, it's probably a theme in every Christmas movie, for being honest,
Yeah.
especially Die Hard. But I keep going back and forth with this group because from week to week, you can see Hugo Larson be the next thing, and then Chanu's in, but then he's out for 3 weeks, and you
Yeah.
know, I really have a hard time believing that anybody, whether it's the forward group or the defensive group, is the answer here. And that's what I want to see is the person who's going to make the difference. And that's really what I'm struggling with right now. So it's not that we need one thing under the tree, we need several pieces. But I want them to be done smartly. I don't want to go the cheap route or I don't want to go the splashy route. I want to go the most effective route. If we can pull in three guys, that would be ideal. Handle something in the back, something in the middle, something in the front would be most ideal. And for all the shrill business moves of Croatia the last few years, turning coal into diamonds, we're supposed to have money to show for this. And I don't want to go waste it, but I want to invest it in a smart way this year and
Right.
see something in the return that gives us some stability. I just want to see a stable week to week progression from here on out.
Man, wrap that up
Am I
nicely.
asking too much?
I don't think you're asking Santa Claus for too much. It's
Thank
just a
you.
question of whether Santa Claus and his elves do provide it for the Eintracht. And that is honestly, we'll just have to wait and see at how things will progress and hope that Shakiri and Chaibi, whilst they're in AFCON, and which Shakiri like just scored a goal today against Togo for Tunisia,
Ooh.
so good for him. So long as those guys return happy, healthy, I would prefer earlier, but they're playing for Algeria and Tunisia, so I'm expecting them to be in the knockout phase of the competition. So good luck to those fellows whilst you are on international duty. And here's hoping that everyone returns back to training after
Healthy.
the winter break healthy. I do realize that Baum literally just got added to the injury list, which is just a shame because I wanted to see more of him. But hey, you know what? at least the reserves at top of the table in the Haitian Liga by 10 points. So there's at least something to smile. But Chris, this has been fun to catch up with you and talk all things Eintracht. Where can we
Always.
find you in the social media landscape of the world?
Reduced social media landscape, but I'm still on Instagram at Chris N. Monroe. And if you're riding or working out on Peloton, I'll be there in about 20 minutes after I finish this beer. Come ride with me. No, I'm serious. I was in the Army for 7 years, so dropping a few beers and then doing a big workout, that's just kind of second nature to me. But on Peloton at C in the D 313.
All right, and you can follow me on, let's see, I'm still on X and Instagram at KCSGE. And of course, you can follow the show at HEF Pod, all of our various locations, as mentioned beforehand. But yeah, folks, take care of this Christmas, Hanukkah, holiday season, however you care to celebrate it. And we'll catch you next time on our latest episode of Hey, I'm Your Kramer. Probably looking ahead to the Dortmund match, or might be reviewing the Dortmund match itself. We'll see how things play out there. But stay safe, be good to each other, and until next time, cheers.
Frankfurt, la 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 la